What's up guys, ZiSotto here, and today we're looking at the patch notes for patch 4.15, Corrupted Arena. We will talk about last week after the patch notes a little bit, but I'm going to go through the patch notes first, because some people are just here for the patch notes. We're going to start with the skins, and then focus on balance and stuff mostly. We have Fabulous Chiron, Sunkissed Amaterasu, Moonlit Artemis, Earl Wubert, Sun Kongfrey, Sun Wukong, Dragonkin Skadi, Dragon's Rage Kukulkan, Noble Esport Zeus, and Sun Wukong's Golden Mastery skins. Quick look at the card art. This is the new Chiron skin that will trigger a lot of people, make a lot of people happy as well. Then we have the Amaterasu skin, which I think looks really nice in game, really nicely designed skin. Bit of a weird voice pack though. We have an amazing Artemis skin that actually makes me want to play Artemis, and I hate playing Artemis, so there's that. We have that Sun Wukong skin, which has like cash effects all over the skin, which I think is really cool. So this skin doesn't really show everything that's to the skin, as well as the transformations, transforming into the animals, but with this tiny hat all the time. So I like that a lot. Then we have the Skadi dragon skin, which is just amazing. Obviously, some Game of Thrones references there. Looks really, really cool. Really cool animations, a lot of fire stuff, and in the same sense, there's the Kukulkan skin, also with like a lot of fire animations and all that. This skin, some of you may remember, is basically the loser of the tier 5 skin challenge from last year, where Anubis won. This was like the highest tier version of a growing baby dragon Kukulkan, and we still find it in the game now, which I think is nice. And maybe shows which one Hyro's on doing or something, I don't know. Noble Zeus looks very cool in the game as well, a lot more adjusted than the old skins in terms of design. And Sun Wukong's Mastery skins also pretty damn cool. With that, we look at the next things, because we can't play the sound files on these new redesigned patches anymore. We've got Amaterasu Dancer mode fitting with the new skin, I guess. And then we already at the adventures. And the adventures are pretty crazy this time, because usually when we see an adventure, it's something that's like something new, you know. In this case, we're taking the arena that we already have, but it's going to be changed. So what Hyros is doing is they're putting collapsible floors in the arena. There will be like holes all over the arena, basically. So like meteors come from the sky, crash into the floor, and there's a hole in the ground. And what happens when you get close to the hole? Or too close to the hole, you fall down. Meaning that gods that can push you into the hole somehow will be incredibly strong, because they can make sure that you fall into the hole. And that, yeah, it's the biggest part of the arena. As far as I understand, there's also a dragon involved that can spawn and that kind of stuff. So, very interesting arena. Apparently, the designer said it's very much focused around gods that like push you down those holes. So, this is not the normal. It's not going to be replacing the normal arena mode. This is an additional mode, but I will most certainly play it over the normal arena mode. And then there is the bundle with that has the Kukulkan skin, the dragon skin, as well as the Skadi skin. And it also gives you some extra points for this arena thing, where you can get some more chests. We can actually get chests through these arena points without spending any money, as well, as far as I understand it, which are tier 2 skins, I think, and some other things like some icons and stuff like watch skins. So you can get some of that clutter off their way if you want to, which, you know, is beneficial in my opinion, especially if you don't have to spend money on that specifically. Though I'm not entirely sure if you are able to roll that, but I think you will be able to roll that even without the extra points. You will have to grind the mode a fair bit though to get all the points and get everything. And at the end you can get an adventure, an awesome chest, which is also really cool. And then we have some things for Project Olympus. I know that most of you are not console, so I'm going to go over this relatively briefly. There are new controller options that allow you to turn off the LB plus RB option for ultimate firing. If you want that, you can leave it on, you can turn it off. Aim acceleration and controller dead zones can be configured from the settings menu. Player stats will be visible in-game on the main HUD with power, attack speed, and movement speed on them. You can invite people from your friend list. You can invite players to the party or to your friend list at the end of the match lobby. End of the game match lobby. End of the match lobby? Is it called end of the match lobby? It's end of the match lobby. Whatever. There is the point value on the god leaderboard, which I think is also for PC then. I'm not 100% sure about this. And on PC, we have UI improvements that are helping with performance because PC UI was using more memory than it needed, which they probably found out while looking at all these other changes regarding the UI that are probably coming soon. So this should lead to better performance, which I gotta say, if you have not switched over to DirectX 11 yet and you have not done the 64-bit version, now is the time where you can do it. It runs stable. I've been doing it for weeks now and it's been fine. And this will probably go in the same direction, helping performance even more, which does overall, from what we've seen, actually drastically improve performance on lower end machines, which is really, really cool. I don't know how much it does for higher end machines, but optimization for SMITE is really going in a good direction, and, you know, gotta praise it when you see it. Then Triumphant Chest, just an updated description. Consumables, this is like a little glitch that happened. If you use the consumable, like a power pot, while you're dead, and you already had 2 items, then you would just lose that into the void, and now that doesn't happen anymore. That means that if you respawn and you use a pot, you will still be able to get that pot, even if you have 2 items in your inventory, but like 2 consumables. But if you're dead, it doesn't happen. And the ranked bank time has been decreased to 60 from 90, so you don't have to wait as long. No, sorry. Yeah, you don't have to wait as long if somebody drags through the bank time, in addition to the extra pre-ban and preference phase. Then we have the gameplay changes for Arena, which is the gold spooling being increased from 8 to 10. I think it says 6 to 8 in the original patch notes. I'm quite confused. I'm not quite sure which one the original ones were here. But either way, that is, you know, allowing you to get your endgame build a little early in Arena. And in Conquest, the mid HP XP is reduced from 58 to 55 again, meaning you don't want to clear the mid camps after the first wave if you want to look to secure buffs first, because it's not going to bring you to level 2 anymore. Even if you clear both, you're not going to get level 2 of them. So you get that in the next wave, so you don't get that much extra pressure just from it. Then we have Vamp Shroud. Fixed an issue where Vamp Shroud will proc multiple times on certain abilities. Rip Xingtian. I know that later on this affected some other gods like as well, where it wasn't that good. Like Thoth, it was just ridiculously strong. On Xingtian, I thought it was fun. Now it's removed. It procs once again. Oh. Evolve Shaman's Ring. Fixed an issue where our Quang's Wild Storm would gain the bonus damage early. Alright. Arachne. Nightcrawler. Fixed an issue where landing on unleashed monsters would not deal damage. Alright. The big Arachne buff we all been waiting for. Artio gets a fix where she will lose the ability to basic attack or cast abilities. She gets nerfs later down the patch, don't worry. Kukulkan, Kukulkan, the other Ku. 2 issues with Vent Anger. One where it would tick and extra time, whatever that means. So basically it went longer apparently. And the other one, it did not benefit properly from physical power. So yeah. 2 fixes make for a buff and a nerf in a way, I guess. And a fix for Radiant's passive that didn't apply properly. And that brings us to the items, and that's the big deal this patch. That's where most of the changes lie. So, Ichaival is nerfed. And I am happy, because I have always been saying that this item has too many stats for its price. Ichaival is incredibly cheap, it's a bridge item, and it always had so much potential. What are the nerfs? 5% attack speed taken away. And instead of stealing 10 power per stack, it only steals 7 power per stack. That means you also only get 7 power per stack. That means instead of getting 30 power from this item, you now get 21. And that's, in my opinion, fair, because it actually highlights other early game options. And I do think that we will see other early game options being picked up more. But if you're a Hunter player, don't be too sad. There are a lot of changes that are in favor of Hunters as well. So Revenge Bow gets the same treatment, 30 attack speed down to 25, and the power steal, the power steal goes from 10 to 7. But you still reduce the enemy's magical power by 15, because magical power generally is a little bit higher. This, I think, is just because otherwise we would see ADCs, especially in lanes against mage ADCs, perform a bit better than they should be, kind of thing. So, yeah, understandable. Because Gauntlet, 50 gold price decrease. Devil's Gauntlet, 50 gold price decrease. Increase power from 25 to 30, but that's not all. Increase the physical power per stack from 0.4 to 0.5. That means that you get more per stack. At the same time, you lose stacks. Instead of 75, you have 70 stacks on the item now. That means you fully complete the item earlier, which is actually better because, you know, it takes less time to come online. Even though it's just 5 stacks, you know, it's one wave. But it is one wave still. The total power you gain from the stacks is now 35 instead of 30. The base power on the item is now 30 instead of 25. That means instead of getting 55 power in total from this item, you can get up to 65 power in total, which brings it to the higher end of the power items, which is definitely significant. To lose 1% lifesteal in return, who cares? It's 1%. Honestly, realistically, through the higher power, you should probably get more lifesteal out of it in the end anyway. So, you know, you lose 1%, but you get 10 power. Should not be an issue. Does this bring Devils back? Good question. Too early to say. Lifesteal has not been popular for a long time, but with Ichaival being nerfed and simultaneously Devils getting a buff, I see good reason to pick it up on more gods. It's more rewarding to pick it up now. And when Devils is more rewarding to be picked up, we see lifesteal potentially coming back. So, I'm curious what this will bring. And with the other changes, this could entirely change what hunters are running. The next one is RC. RC just gets 50 gold price decrease, and it gets a 5% extra lifesteal. The 5% extra lifesteal is nice, but it's more of an early game item mostly, and the 5% you're not gonna care about it that much, honestly. I think it is better now, especially with Ichaival being lesser competition, but still it has 20% attack speed and 15 flat pen, and it doesn't have the power that Ichaival brings, even if it's less. So I don't see RC as competition. There's another item I see competition. Bloodforge, 50 gold price decrease, whatever. Executioner is the item I now see as competition. Executioner does not have any flat pen, keep that in mind. It does not work that well as an early game in that regard, but Executioner got a power increase by 5. The logic behind this is completely beyond me, because I don't really see that Executioner needed a buff at all. The reasoning is that it is built in combination with Ichaival, and with Ichaival nerfed, the hunters need to get the power somewhere else, so they get an Executioner. But when you think about it, if hunters start building devils again, they also have 10 extra power there. There's another extra 5 power here on Exec. For what reason? Exactly? Like, I don't quite understand the approach here, but I think it will be very strong. I think 5 power more, it doesn't sound like much, but it allows it to be more of a potent pick early in the game. You know, a lot of the mace items that are specifically for early pressure have like some flat pen and 40 power, so it gets closer to those, and it still has the attack speed. So overall, a really good item, I think, and you know, you might want to build it if you weren't already building it to begin with. That's the thing. Like, Execution was not underbuilt at all. It wouldn't have been even with the Ichaival nerf. So. Likewise, Deathbringer decreased cost from 3,200 to 3,000. Deathbringer went through a lot of nerfs in the past. It's a bit too strong at the start. It's been brought in line. Now it gets a price decrease to make it a little more accessible. You see a pattern here. We're pushing lifesteal, we're pushing exec, we're pushing crit. Kinda Harris saying that they don't really want the attack speed pen builds anymore, you know? Kinda rather see people build lifesteal crit. And with how many changes there are to these items, I could potentially see that happening. But we're not done yet. Poison Star also gets a buff. Critical strike chance increased from 15% to 20%, which should really bring up Poison Star again, which I don't like. I don't think that needs to be in the meta a lot, because that's, you know, it's basically not as bad as before, because Haste and Fatalis is kind of out with no option for hunters to replace that, but you can still do it with Poison Star, so iffy. And you know, Poison Star's not that expensive. It's like throwing in like a Devil's, probably even attack speed boost. Devil's attack speed boost, exec, Poison Star build. It's not that expensive. It's not that terrible. Obviously a late game build, but for certain gods, very much an option. Titan's Bane also getting a buff in regards to the pricing. 150 gold. That's a significant difference. So not only is Exec buff, but also Titans. That means that the double pen build also in itself gets some more viability. You know that some hunters like to build that. I've talked about this in a past video, how the synergy actually works, and that at a certain point is very much worth it, and you still get structure push out of this. The reason here is that we need more structure, or the reasoning is that we need more structure push, because as it stands right now, Phoenixes have more, or like towers and Phoenixes have more tankiness, and that, you know, needs to be compensated for with items that work against that. Don't know if it had to be Titan's Bane. Well. And likewise, Obsidian Shar gets the same treatment. Also 150 price decrease. These items have like bounced up and down in prices before. I'm generally okay with this, but it's a bit odd that it comes with a load of other changes as well. So hunters just get hit in weird ways this patch. Positive mostly though. Obviously impactful for assassins as well here. The price drop on Titan's Bane. Sort of Gaia gets something that I would consider a straight up nerf. You remember that it had immunity for 1 second after knockback pull or grab. Now instead you get 10% of your maximum health back over the next 10 seconds. You used to get like self-rooted as well when it first came out, so that's all gone. So yeah, it still has the second passive though with a regeneration. So it is more about being a sustain item again. And well, it's yeah. The reasoning here is that certain guards are hit too hard by it, but I don't know if I fully agree, because Son of Gaia was built to counter some guards, but it never was like, oh my god, these guys Son of Gaia, we're so fucked, we can't do shit anymore. You know, it's never how Son of Gaia was, in my eyes at least. What I will say here is, you know, the memes going around, and it's absolutely definitely funny that it was changed because of the adventure mode, because, you know, the immunity. I don't think that's connected, because they didn't even know about that, because they actually banned Son of Gaia out of that mode, and then the change came in. It was popular in certain scenarios, so, you know, I guess. I like the old passive better. I think it's unfortunate, and Son of Gaia is still relatively niche for most players anyways. Shift the shield. Removed 15 magical protections. That's it. The other one's just a description update. Don't know if I agree with that. Apparently mages are having problems and are underperforming and need buffs because magical damage is too weak or some shit. Alright, but let's think about the fact that there are certain mages that are doing very well in the meta, like Sol, for example, who is one of the highest bans. Kronos coming back slowly. Maybe it's better in such scenarios to look at mages individually over nerfing Shift the Shield, which has nothing to do with it in itself. And the whole purpose of Shift the Shield is that you have like a power defense item. Like if mages don't get their damage through, then why are we not nerfing Heartwood? Why are we not nerfing Bulwark? Why are we not nerfing Pestilence? Why are we nerfing Shift the Shield? No, doesn't quite add up for me. Specifically like, yeah, fuck assassins in early game that play against mages kind of thing. And I feel like Aokwang is coming back as well, by the way, and he's gonna laugh about that one. So, strange approach here. Gladiator's shield gets a nerf, 10 physical protections from the item down to 35. Understandable. Was a very strong item. Originally not picked up much, and then kind of became more and more popular after that first buff to the self heal, I think. Now it's like everywhere, just, especially the aggressive solos that make good use of it at the moment, like Zambukong. It's got it a lot, or Cullen. And so I see where this is coming from. I feel like, you know, 10 powers, 10 protection is quite a fair bit. I would have like started with 5 and then see how it goes, but oh well. It's still a very cheap and very good item, I think, even though it will be picked up less over like protection items, especially in jungle. It can still be used. Heartseeker gets a buff. Decrease the cost by 100 to 2,300, and also increase the power by 5. I don't think this makes the item like super good all of a sudden, but it definitely makes it worth more of a consideration. You know, like I said, with Executioner, 5 power is a solid difference in some scenarios, and I think for Heartseeker, it might make a difference. And making it a little expensive is also very reasonable because the price is really what deters you from building it in the first place. And that brings us to guard balance. Artio gets nerfs. What a surprise. Energy Surge and Maul Prey. 12 seconds of cooldown instead of 10. Very straightforward. Very logical. She was putting out way too much damage, and that's why I was saying that support is not her strongest role, because in support she doesn't put out that much damage because she doesn't get the pen and everything she needs. But like solo or in jungle, she has the room to build items that, you know, give her more CDR but also some protection reduction at least. And then this ability just becomes devastating because she's constantly healing up, she's constantly sustaining through everything you do, and she's dealing damage to you. Likewise, Entangled Winds gets a nerf. This one is regarding the cooldown. So instead of the cooldown going, like it's like Shark now, let's put it like that. Instead of the cooldown starting when you start the ability, it starts when the ability ends. We've seen both. For example, with Hercules, it's the same way as it was with Entangling Vines before. So it does hit her quite heavily, because beforehand with cooldown reaction you could almost like get it to the point where you can use it twice in a row. If you had Genjis, you could actually do that. Now you can no longer do that because there will still be a cooldown afterwards, and that makes a difference, a significant difference. And I think that's fair because that was a very strong like perma cripple basically. I would have actually liked the duration being like decreased. Like I would like to see that over this. Sure, you know, if somebody has full CDR and Genjis, they can run it twice. Sucks. But I think what sucks more is just being crippled for that duration in the first place. It's just a very, very, very long cripple, and you're usually dead afterwards, and you don't really care about it being, you know, off cooldown or on cooldown afterwards because you most likely already dead. So I would prefer another style here, but I can see why it was done this way. Now you want to use it later in the fight. And Ferocious Roar gets the protection buff decreased from 10 to 50 to 10 to 30. Still very good. Not as good as before. And then we have Camazotz. Camazotz a strong early game, blah, blah, blah. Battle of Hell gets a nerf from 140 to 300 up to down to 120 to 300. So still the same late game damage, but it starts a little lower, which is actually quite significant when you think about the number. When you hit 3, it's 60 damage difference, but I think it's a fair nerf. Freya, oh the irony. Freya was overperforming a little bit. We would have thought, you know, that would never happen with a hastened buff and a demonic buff and her base stats buffed and her pulse buffed. So, you know, surprise. I am still gonna talk about this tomorrow because I have whatever happened to Freya very much lined up and almost ready. So we'll just address this right away in that change as well. What I can say here, this is the same attack speed she had beforehand. Which is very important because of the synergy with the new like item changes in terms of attack speed. How much more it gave her was actually crazy. And as for pulse, it used to be 20 to 60, then it was 30 to 70, and now it's 25 to 65, so exactly in the middle. Ram gets a nerf. Bonus damage from Astral Strike down from 15 to 55 to 10 to 50 means that very early in the game it will do a little less damage. And if that upsets you as a ROM player, then just think about the fact that a lot of your core items just got a hell of a lot cheaper, and some other items that you weren't building before that are also very, very good on ROM are now more rewarding to build. So you'll be fine. Late game hunter who for some reason does a ton early game anyways. You'll be fine. And with that, we're at the end of the patch notes, but aside of that, I would like to thank you guys, or I'd like first to thank the people that participated in last week's Make of It on Duke's channel, what a creative name that I came up with. It was very nice to see you guys supporting them with what they did, for the most part at least, and you know, enjoying the different types of content they put out. And I was very positively surprised with how many people, you know, tuned in and watched a lot of those things and said what they liked about it, and also gave constructive feedback, constructive criticism about the things. It was very fun for me just to, you know, I wasn't sitting back. I was very busy. I didn't, like, some of you thought that I took a week off for holiday. Not what it was at all. Quite the opposite. But, you know, just look at YouTube once a day and see, put up the new video and see how somebody else feels being in my spot, kind of thing. And yeah, you guys welcomed them to a much better extent than I would have expected, and supported a lot of their stuff. And I know that a lot of them got a lot of new subscribers, and I hope you know, don't just sub to them and never come back, but rather check out their stuff, and, you know, whichever you enjoy, because I'm pretty sure that at least most of them will keep putting out content and will keep making sure that they put out quality content as well. So if you would support that, I'd be very happy about that. And with that, thank you guys for watching the patch notes, and, you know, talking about all this supporting stuff and subscribing stuff. If you're not subscribed to me yet, you can click the sub button, maybe the bell. That does help me out. You can support me a little bit, you know, watch my videos if you want to. See you for the next one tomorrow. As I said, whatever happened to Freya. I've got a lot more stuff lined up already as well. Until then, ZiSotto out.